I don't think this is going to draw you into the program at all. I think it's going to be ineffective, what I'm doing here. It's going to be ineffective. It's going to achieve nothing. It's going to be, it's just going to be another waste of your time and mine. And I don't think you deserve to have your time wasted. At least, well, I don't know. I assume you don't deserve to have your time wasted. I assume that. And I assume I don't deserve to have my time wasted. I assume that because as far as I know, there's no reason why I deserve to have my time wasted. Oh, but there might be some reason I'm not aware of. But I'm not aware of that at the moment, so I'm aware that if there is a reason that I'm not aware of, then I am aware that I'm not aware of that reason. But I'm not aware of that reason exists. Do you get my drift? You probably don't. Do you get my drift? Do you get my drift? You probably don't. My drift. As if I'm on a fucking raft. Oh, that's bollocks. No, let's not do the raft thing. I know I don't think I've ever mentioned rafts on this program before, so maybe I should mention rafts. Even though I don't even know what I was going to say about them. I just happened to mention getting my drift and I thought of rafts. And then I thought, rafts. I don't think I've ever discussed the concept of rafts on this program ever before. I don't think so. Although, wait a minute, a few weeks ago I made reference to some books I was reading about people lost at sea. One of them was on an inflatable life raft. But I don't consider that to be a raft. When I think of a raft, I don't think of those inflatable lifeboats. Those are dinghies or something. When I think of a life raft, I think of a flat thing made from bits of trees. It's someone who's been stuck on a desert island for many years finally manages to build. Takes them that long to think, oh, look, I've been stuck on this island in the middle of the Pacific for a decade, but look, I've made this thing with some sticks tied together. It's as sure as hell going to get my family out of here. Come on, climb aboard here, get on my raft. And then, of course, the rest of your family looks at you like you've gone mad. They think you're like that. You're like Tom Hanks in that film where he was talking to his mophead or something. I forget what he was talking to. He was talking to his imaginary friend, which was made from either a stick or a mophead or something. I can't remember the exact details. And then, of course, he didn't even have his family with him. They were saved from that. But no, you would say that to your family after 10 years on a desert island. You say, oh, look, we've been here 10 years and you've probably been wondering what I've been doing all day as I went off to work at 9 a.m. every morning and then came back to the end of the beach where we sleep and eat at the end of each day. I came home with nothing. You've probably been wondering what I've been doing all day. Well, I've been building a raft. That's what I've been doing. I've been building a raft. I got these sticks. I waited till I could find all these sticks that were all pretty much the same length and they're all nice and straight. You could tie them together in a neat row. And then I tied them together. Of course, I had to get another set of sticks to put under them to crisscross the other way to keep all the sticks in line. Because otherwise they just fall out. It becomes like some sort of weird rolly-up thing. And then, of course, you have to install some facilities on the raft. Like, for example, an emergency life ring. Where if someone falls off the raft, you go, man overboard, and then you throw them the life ring. And then they grab onto that, and then you pull them into the raft. And then they get back onto the raft, and then they go, now what? We're still just on a fucking raft. What now? We're going to just drift over here for a year until we go into shipping lanes. And then we say, oh, look, there's a ship. I'm sure it'll see us floating in the water. No, you're a fucking idiot and you've gone mad from 10 years of living on an island. We'd like you to please go and live at the other end of the beach now. Have you been wondering, by the way, how we've been feeding ourselves? Because you've been going off to work on your raft all day, every day. You haven't come back with any fish or anything. No. Well, we've been eating our mother, your wife. We've been eating her for the past 10 years. That's what we've been eating every day. What have you been eating as a matter of interest? And then, of course, you'll say, oh, I don't know. I've been going around among the trees finding bits of wood for my raft. So I suppose I've been picking bits of fruit off the trees, sometimes eating the leaves. Sometimes I have a go at the bark. It never really works out that well. I'm sure when I was a child, they used to have various sweets that were made to look like paper. When I was a child, the sweet shop had this stuff called edible paper. and it looked like paper. I remember when I was about 5, coming out of a sweet shop with edible paper, and my mother was outside with my friend's mother, who happened to be a doctor. So my mother decided to show it to the doctor and ask her what she thought of this so-called edible paper. Now, I must have got some sort of approval, because I do remember I got to eat it then. So I suppose that's approval. But do they have something like that looks like bark? Maybe they do, maybe they don't. But no, if you're on an island long enough and you're running out of options and you see some bark on the tree when there's no fruit around, you see some bark, you might have a go at that. Think you can eat paper, you might as well have a go at bark. Paper is made out of wood, isn't it? So why not eat wood? Why not, indeed? That's probably what you say. Don't you Americans have some sort of confectionery item called a Life Boy or something that's named after a life ring? I don't know why that's relevant, but you'd have one of them on a raft I happened to mention, so I suppose it's mildly coincidental. But you're right, it's of little interest or entertainment value here, so let's ignore that. The point is, you're on this island long enough, sooner or later you'll say, bark does look nice, admittedly. Bark on a tree that hasn't been interfered with is probably quite nice. You look at it and say, oh, that's a lovely looking bit of bark. Probably looks like a chocolate log roll or something. You look at that, you think, oh, I know in my brain it's not chocolate, but maybe I can convince myself, especially if I figure out how to make chocolate and then put some of that on it, or find some fruit juice that tastes sweet and squirt that over it so it makes the bark taste better. That's probably going to cover your mouth in blisters or something. Maybe you could grind it into some sort of a pulp and then turn it into a wood smoothie. I suppose you could do that. Which may seem a little pointless to us, but we're not the ones who've spent a decade on a desert island somewhere. We're not them people. We're other people. We're just speculating. We've no right to judge. We've no right to judge. And they've no right to judge us either. Because for one thing, they're fictional. They don't even exist. Who are they to judge us? No. We created them. Never let your fictional creations judge you. Judge them. Judge them. That's what you judge them. Like your man, Beavis and Butthead, the fella who created them, his surname is literally Judge. You think he doesn't judge his fictional creations? I'd be damn sure to Christ as hell that he does. He does. He literally called one of them Butthead. If that's not a judgment call, I don't know what is. I think I'll call my fictional desert island raft builder Shithead, and that'll be my judgment. An affectionate judgment. Just like with Butthead, it's an affectionate judgment of one of my creations, but it's a judgment nonetheless, and it hurts nobody. Unless you're someone who identifies with Shithead, I suppose. You think, oh, that's me. He's got me to a T. That sounds exactly like me, the Shithead fella. Except I don't like the name. Well, that's okay. You have your own name. You can use that. Or you can keep telling yourself that all similarities are entirely coincidental. Which, if that's the way you want it to be, it can be. We can pretend it's all a big coincidence. That's what we do. Anyway, good morning. Into your head. 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 We've a lot to get on with today. Items that need to be attended to. Issues that need to be addressed. Topics. Oh, topics. We've got lots and lots of topics. We're positively booming to the seams with topics. We've got topics coming out of this mouth. This mouth. I presume they're coming out of the mouth anyway. That's where I feel them coming out. I feel spit coming out of my mouth too. Hopefully you can't hear that. If my future self has done its job properly during the post-production service, a spit noise will be minimal and you won't be able to hear it. In fact, the only reason you're hearing it now is because I'm drawing your attention to it. In fact, you're not hearing it at all. You're just imagining it. You're imagining it. That's what theatre of the mind does. It's just like back in the early days of radio. Your man, what's his face, made that thing. Orson Welles, he made that thing, War of the Worlds. He said, we'll make this radio play and we'll put it on live on the radio. We'll say, aliens are coming to kill us all. They're coming to kill us all. They're going to bring down fire and brimstone and death upon us all. They're going to destroy our planet. And then they're going to insert themselves into our homes and take over our lives. Your wife will get up tomorrow morning and there'll be someone there who looks like you, but in fact it's an alien who's taking over your body. He's ripped your flesh and skin off your skeleton and put it on his own skeleton like it's a new coat. And he'll be there saying, "Oh, hello, wife. Don't worry, nothing's changed. Same as every other day. Nothing to worry about here." So Orson Welles said that on the radio and through the medium of playwrightship, and everyone panicked. Everyone panicked. They said, "Oh Christ, they're taking over the world. We're all going to die." I don't know why people assume that just because aliens have arrived, we're all going to die. That seems like a rather defeatist attitude to me. If aliens arrive, let's all just agree not to rush into anything. We'll have a little meeting online somewhere. We'll go on to what's that thing out where everybody has their meetings on now online? We'll go on to one of them and we'll say, "The aliens are here. Would anybody like to offer any opinion on how we should deal with them?" Everybody will have their opinions. That's the great thing about the internet. You can access millions of opinions all in one go. So we'll take our time. When the aliens arrive, we'll take our time. We'll have a little meeting to ourselves. You might even invite the aliens in to observe at some point. Because even things like 12-step alcohol and drugs recovery programs, many of those meetings have an open version of their meeting once a month where family and friends are allowed to come along and watch a meeting and observe. So I see no reason why we can't allow the aliens to do that. As long as we've all agreed to it, there has to be a mutual agreement. Make sure everyone in the world agrees to it first. So then we'll have everyone at this meeting stand up and say what they think we should do about these aliens. We'll get a cross-section of society. I'm sure there'll be people who stand up and say, "I don't think we should do anything about these aliens." What's the problem? It's not illegal to be a Martian, or wherever they are. Are they Martians? They're probably not. If they were Martians, they've spent a hell of a lot of time getting here, I can tell you. If we've got to Mars before they got here, that doesn't say much about their abilities, does it? Or maybe they're just shy or antisocial, I suppose. I suppose it's possible that someone who lives on another planet could be antisocial. The people who we're planning on sending to Mars are most likely extremely antisocial. They're mostly antisocial people on the planet. That's why they're going off to Mars. They're saying, "Elon Musk is bringing us to Mars." He's so antisocial, he's probably not even going to come with us. He's going to send us all off and we'll go off to Mars on our little spaceship. We'll call it a spaceship. It's not really a ship. It's not sailing. It's flying. Except it's not doing that either. So it's not flying either. It's neither sailing nor flying. Well, what are you supposed to call it? A space car? I suppose you should. Maybe you should call spaceships space cars. Or I know they don't have wheels on them, but they could. We could put wheels on them. Yeah, now that you mention it, didn't Elon Musk put one of his cars into space? He put one of his, what are they called, Tulsa or Telsa or something. He took off one of his cars and he put it into space. He said, "I've made this car. I'm going to put it into space to prove that my car can go into space." And everyone said, "Oh, that's great. We admire you for this. You put a car into space as one of the finest achievements ever achieved by man." And then he went and took over Twitter. He said, "I'm going to take over Twitter now. We're going to call it something else. I'm going to call it something else. And then I'm going to name my child after it." And then I'm going, this is beneath me. It's not beneath me. I shouldn't be trying to mock a human being. That's not what we do on this podcast. We don't mock human beings like that. Not individuals anyway. So no. Anyway, we have the meeting and everyone stands up and says their piece. They'll say, "I don't think we should do anything about the aliens." And then the next person will stand up and say, "I think we should do something about the aliens." And then the next person will stand up and say, "I don't agree. I mean, I agree we should do something about the aliens, but I don't agree with the previous speaker on what it is we should do about the aliens." And then the previous speaker will stand up and say, "I didn't say what we should do about the aliens. I just said we should do something about the aliens. So you are agreeing with me when you say we should do something about the aliens." And the other person will stand up again and say, no, I didn't. I said that we should do something about the aliens, but I didn't say we should do whatever the same thing you're thinking of doing is. I didn't say that, nor did I say what specific thing I want to do about the aliens is. I didn't even specify whether or not I have something specific in mind. So how you can determine whether or not you and I are in agreement or disagreement, I don't know. I don't know at all. Maybe I should sit down and shut up and let you say your piece and say what you think we should do about the aliens. And then the other fellow will stand up and say, oh, I don't think you should do that at all. Because I said we should do something about the aliens, but I didn't really have anything in mind. I was just, I know that makes it sound like a useless non-opinion, but it's not. I'm expressing the opinion that we shouldn't not do anything about the aliens. We should do something. I just don't know what yet. Maybe I will at some point. Maybe I'll shut my face and listen to the next few hundred speakers and then I'll form an opinion. And then we can all have a vote at the end or something, or we can go around everyone a second time. But no, that's not. I was expressing the opinion that I would veer on the side of doing something about them rather than not doing something about them. And then they'll both sit down and the fourth person will stand up and say, I think we should not do something about the aliens, just like the first speaker says. But I'm not necessarily agreeing with that first speaker because they didn't elaborate on how they're going to go about not doing anything. There's different ways of abstaining from stuff, you know. You can just ignore it, or you could actively do something but do it incorrectly. It's a bit like having a work to rule or something like that. Although, how would that work? I don't know. Who are we trying to start? Like the aliens are our employees who we're striking against. Or maybe we're trying to prevent them. Maybe they're going to take us over as slaves. And when that happens, a work to rule might well be appropriate. Well, let's cross that bridge when we come to it. We haven't even formed a union yet, and we've no reason to. We've no reason to whatsoever. And then the fifth speaker will get up and say, how long more are we going to stretch out this crap, this absolute fucking crap on my podcast? What in the name of Christ? What in the name of... This is substandard. And then the fourth speaker will stand back up and say, excuse me, narrator, fuck off. Fuck off. Go and get back on that. Oh, get back on that horse you rode in on and go and ride it backwards to wherever you came from. We're trying to do some real serious survival of the human species business here, and you're coming in trying to make some sort of a nonsense story about it. No, get out, get out, get out. Get out of our meeting. Get out, get out, get out, get out, get out. Get out, 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 go. And then someone, of course, will say, do you realise you're saying that so automatically that it now just sounds like you're saying gout, which is meaningless. And then a sixth person will stand up and say, excuse me, I'm a doctor. The word gout is not meaningless. It's a very specific meaning. I could show you in a medical dictionary if you like. Gout is a lot of things, but it's not meaningless. It's not. It's just not meaningless at all. Of course, you people probably all think gout is what you get when you're eating fried smoked salmon for breakfast every day or something. Or you eat rich food. That's the stereotypical view of gout. But no, it's not. It's just a word. Nothing more than that. It's just a word. And when you're saying get out really fast and repeating it over and over again, going get out, 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 it's very easy to find yourself saying gout. Except, of course, you're not really saying gout. We all know you're not really saying gout. You're just saying get out. But you're saying it so fast that it sort of comes out like that. It's like when you're wandering along a road going home, and if you wander off the curb a bit. You're not intending to wander off the curb. You're not saying, oh, I'm going to go in that direction now. No, you're just wandering. I wandered off a couple of curbs yesterday. I got off two separate city buses where you're supposed to, you're required to get off at the middle doors now. You're not allowed to go up to the driver and get out at the safe front door. You have to get out in the middle. So I got out in the middle and I arrived at a curb that I didn't fucking see. I nearly went flying halfway across the pavement. Luckily, a managed to stop myself. So it was more than the fucking bus did. The bus didn't stop myself. It did not. I got to the bus stop and then I said, get out in the middle doors there. The middle doors aren't even at the destination. The middle doors stop several feet behind the destination, unless the driver chooses to drive up beyond the bus stop. If he does that, he'll probably forget he's at the bus stop at all and not open the doors. And then where will he be? He'll be on a fucking bus. A worse place to be on a bus, standing inside the middle doors, waiting for the next stop, where there's probably going to be 3 sets of traffic lights before that, and you're just going to be standing there like an idiot. Everyone gawking at you, saying, oh, I wonder, has he missed his stop, or does he think there's a stop here? I wonder. So I bet you the driver has fucked something up, but he's still going to shout, thank you, as he gets out the door at the next stop. The stop after the one he requested. He's still going to go, thank you, because that's what fucking idiots do. They go, thank you, with their over politeness. They go, thank you, I do that all the time. I say that to drivers. I say, thank you, but I don't do it on those city buses. I don't. I know this is controversial. If I'm on one of those buses where you get off at the middle doors that are halfway down the bus, I have enough modesty to not feel the need to shout thank you over the heads of 10 people. Because I would find that rather annoying when someone else does it. So I'm not going to do it to other people. I'm not going to shout thank you over the heads of loads of people just to show off how polite I am. No. Politeness is something you don't show off. It's just something you are. I'm being polite by doing that. I'm being polite. If I was a bus driver, I'd be sick to death of people shouting thank you at me. I'd find it extremely annoying. Don't want people shouting thank you at you every 5 seconds, a couple of 100 people a day, and then you have to worry about whether you're being rude by not replying. So he's in basically a glass cage at the front of the bus, and there's someone down at the back doors that are halfway down on the other side of the bus, and they're shouting thank you. What's he supposed to do? Turn around in his cage and shout, you're welcome, I suppose. He'll have to shout even louder because he's shouting from inside the glass cage. His little partition wall behind him, his glass to his left. He's completely surrounded by this glass cage. And it's not like they don't seem to have speakers or anything on buses. I could have sworn when I was a child there was once or twice when I heard a bus driver use the loudspeaker system to make an announcement. But then most of the time when they had an announcement, they just shouted it. And then sometimes they'd come halfway up the stairs and shout it again up the stairs. I think someone decided at some point in the late 1980s, around the time I was getting a bus to school every day, I think someone in the bus union decided they have these loudhailer systems, but we're not going to use them because we're not paid enough to be broadcasters. We're not going to go making announcements over the loudhailer. No. If we need to communicate during a breakdown or something, we'll just shout at everybody. We'll say, the bus is broken down, deal with it. Or else we'll say, I'm very sorry that the bus is broken down, but you probably won't hear my apology because I'm saying it from halfway up the stairs, trying to address the whole bus upstairs and downstairs from halfway up the stairs. None of you have a clue what I said. You're going to spend the next 10 minutes trying to work up the courage to ask the passenger next to you what I said. And they're just going to say, I don't think he said anything at all. I don't think he said anything at all. I think he was just mumbling to himself. I think he was probably judging us. That's what I think he was doing. He was judging us silently. If he judged us less silently, perhaps we'd be able to do something about it and be better passengers. But no, apparently that's not something he wants to do in his career. Or maybe he does want to do it, but just doesn't feel empowered to do it. He thinks that would be above his pay grade, and he doesn't want to get in trouble with other union members who say, you can't be making announcements on the bus, because that's taking jobs off theoretical other people who could be employed to make the announcements on the buses. In the 1980s, we had bus conductors. They were being phased out at that point, but they were still bus conductors. Did they make the announcements? I think they probably did. Why would a bus driver be expected to make an announcement when there's a conductor who can do it, who's walking up and down the stairs all day? A bus conductor. For you young people, there used to be bus conductors on city buses. He had a little ticket machine on a strap around his shoulder, and he spent most of the trip sitting on the front windowsill chatting to the driver. and getting in the way of anyone who was boarding through the front door. And then every now and then he'd go upstairs and he'd look for anyone who looked new. He'd say, "Oh, that fella's new. He needs to purchase a ticket from me." And he'd say, "Do you want to purchase a ticket from me?" And you'd say, "Oh, yes, I feel like having a ticket today. Yes, please, one ticket. Can you please print it on what looks like a roll of toilet paper and make sure you don't change your ink cartridge for at least 8 weeks after it runs out because I want it in invisible ink." Oh, wait a minute though. If your ink has run out, then that's just as good as using invisible ink. In fact, it probably saves a bit of money, cuts down on the cost. So no, instead of using expensive invisible ink, just let the ink run out on your ticket thing. And then when you come around again, or when the ticket inspector, there was another level then. There was a ticket inspector, and he'd board sometimes, and he'd be basically double checking the work of the bus conductor. He'd go around and say, "Oh, this fella doesn't seem to have a ticket. Did you not sell him a ticket? What's going on here?" And the bus conductor would say, "Oh no, that fella sneaked on. He must have covered his face in invisible ink to cover himself up. Maybe he's one of those, what are those animals who are able to disguise themselves? They're able to melt in with the landscape around them. Maybe he's one of them." And the inspector, of course, would say, "Well, if he's an animal, then of course he doesn't need to buy a ticket. I've looked through the bylaws here. There's certainly nothing saying that animals have to buy tickets, whether they're visible or not visible. There are rules about bringing animals on board, but this animal, if this is an animal, it's not bringing an animal on board. It boarded itself, unless there's some other passenger who you think brought it on with him, I suppose. In which case, you should have had a word with that passenger." And the conductor, of course, will say, no, I didn't board with a passenger at all. Although I'm not sure how I can be so sure of that, since I didn't see the animal at all until now. I mean, how can I be expected to know that? I don't have X-ray vision. If I had X-ray vision, that wouldn't be any help seeing an invisible animal, would it? Although, wait, it would. No, of course. No, I got that wrong. Because if we're asserting that the animal had disguised itself with invisible ink, that would mean just the outside of its skin was invisible. So if you had X-ray glasses that were just barely strong enough to see through the ink, then you would see its skin underneath and you'd be able to see the whole animal. So no, I take that back. The very mildest of X-ray spectacles would be able to help you with that. The type of X-ray spectacles that they used to advertise on the back of Whizzer and Chip's comic that you send away for with a postal order for 25 pence. Now, of course, most children never got as far as owning those because they never got around to asking an adult what the fuck a postal order is and why you'd want to cut out his little form, this weird little form in a children's comic and put your name and address on it and send it to some address in England and try and fit your whole address into this thing, this little box on the form that held about 5 letters if you're writing in any sizable font. And of course, we didn't even know about fonts in those days. We weren't using computers yet. So we didn't know about fonts. We just knew about handwriting. And we were told when you're doing handwriting, you use the lines of the page in the copybook. And those are all the standard size. So those were your guide for font sizes. So as far as we knew, there was only one font size you could write in, and that was it. So that's why none of us had X-ray glasses, not even enough to see through the thin, painted on, invisible ink covering of an animal's face on the bus. And I suppose if we were training to be good citizens and be civic spirited about it, we'd be on the lookout for any animals like that who would follow us onto the bus and try to sneak in and pretend to be... Oh no, I'm contradicting what I said earlier. I suggested earlier via the fictional bus inspector that if an animal like that, who's disguised with a thin layer of invisible ink, got on with a customer, then that could be a breach of the regulations because customers aren't allowed to bring animals on the bus. But if the animal is not with a customer, it's not accompanying a passenger, then the animal is not in breach of any regulations. So no, why would an animal want to sneak on with me, a passenger, when it's far more technically permissible for them to board on their own. So that made no sense at all. So I take that back. There was a load of pure horse shit, absolute bollocksology. I'm getting a scratchy throat. I've coughed at least 3 times now during the past 24 minutes. I've still managed to get 24 minutes out though, which is more than I thought I'd get today. So I suppose that's progress. I'm afraid to stop now in case I don't get another segment going after this. Maybe I'll just keep going. Well, I just keep going. I suppose I'll keep going. What'll I say? What do you think I should say here? Should I say, I think we run the bus thing into the ground, haven't we? I think so. Do you even have bus conductors abroad? You probably don't. Nobody here owns air conditioners. We don't have air conditioners. Or AC, as you foreigners call them. You call them RC or AC for short. No, we don't have those. That doesn't mean we don't get hot and sweaty. No, we have 1 or 2 days a year when it gets hot and sweaty. But we say, oh, the Americans wouldn't survive this. They'd need an air conditioner. Of course, that's unfair, because we know the reason you need an air conditioner is because you have 800 days like that every year. And you get an air conditioner because you want your air to be, I suppose it's reasonable, you want your air to be comfortable. You don't want your air to be a source of discomfort. There's enough sources of discomfort in the world without your air becoming uncomfortable, because you're in the air all the time. If you had to lie in bed all day, I'm sure the Christ as hell want to have a decent mattress. And air is the same. You want to survive in this air all the time. It's literally a cushion that surrounds you entirely for your whole life. You want that air to be reasonably comfortable, I suppose. It's not a problem to us, so we don't worry about that. But no, I understand it now that I think about you Americans. You need the air to be comfortable because it's surrounding you all day, every day. And if it's too fucking hot, that's a problem. If the bedding is too hot, you can turn the pillow the other way and then it cools down a bit. But no, you can't do that with air, so you need air conditioning. You get an air conditioner and you shove it in your window on this weird fucking thing that hangs out the window. As far as I can understand, the air conditioners you have, you open your window fully and then you put this big box hanging out of the windowsill that looks like it's going to fall down on someone's head any minute now. I presume the only thing that's holding them long is some sort of a counterweight. Now, if I were to come along and find that counterweight, I think it was just some sort of a handle that was attached to the floor or something, or needed picking up in case someone tripped over it. If I were to find that and pick it up, air conditioner will probably topple over and land on someone's head who's passing down on the footpath below. And that's why nobody in America walks anywhere. They get the car, because you're going to have an air conditioner falling out of someone's window from above at any moment. That's terrifying. And I understand now, that's why you Americans drive everywhere. Completely understandable. I get it now. It's starting to make sense. I'm getting it now. Well, maybe someday I'll understand the gun thing as well. But one thing at a time. One thing at a time. Anyway, on with the show.
Into your head.
Once upon a time, there was a dog. A dog. A dog. Does probably sound weird to new listeners. Probably does. Even though it's a key feature of this program. Nearly every episode now I start one of my segments with once upon a time there was a dog. A dog. Basically a dog. And as I explain regularly, it's not that I'm going to do a big thing about a dog. It's just a way to get going. And it happens to be one of my favourite ways to get going because I happen to like the way it sounds in my joint headphones when I say dog like this. I like how it sounds. It doesn't necessarily sound as good on your setup, but you've probably got €2 shop earphones jammed in your ear on some bus somewhere and you're sitting right beside the engine, so that's interfering. You've probably got someone making snoring noises through their mouth and ears right beside you. You've some fella standing in front of you saying, "Thank you, driver," as he exits through the door and then gets run over by a bicycle. But no, rest assured, it sounds good to me. When I go, once upon a time there was a dog on here. It sounds so good to me in my headphones, so good and full of bass and very pleasant. It makes me almost feel like I know what I'm doing here. Which obviously I don't. I don't know what I'm doing here. I've no idea what I'm doing here. This is my 800 and, I don't know, nearly 820th podcasting. I still have no idea what I'm doing here. That's kind of my, what's that thing they call it? Your etre, no, just some French thing they call it. That's my, no, not maitre d', it's your etre something, your raison d'etre. Oh, of course, if it's a reason d'etre, that's your reason for being. That's not a, that would mean I do know what I'm doing. Or someone knows. I know, I suppose I could still be. You could have a raison d'etre and still not know what you were doing, but as long as there is a reason, you just don't know what it is. So there could be a raison d'etre for this podcast. I just don't know what it is, and you don't know what it is. It's like when they use a medical treatment that seems effective, and medical science doesn't quite know how or why it works, and nobody really knows what it does, but it seems to work, so they use it. That's like that. That's what this podcast is like. It has a raison d'etre. We're just not able to say what it is. Maybe you can. Maybe you're better at verbalizing these things than I am. But I bet you're not better at verbalizing once upon a time there was a dog. You are not. You probably have a go at that. And the first time you get to dog and you feel the back of your throat turning inside out, which I find quite pleasant. The first time you feel that, you say, oh, I'm not designed to do this. The human vocal cords are not designed to do this. I'm not going to do this. That's what you do. And then you back off and then you miss out on another of life's great experiences. You have no sense of adventure. And yes, you go on about there being a raison d'etre. A raison d'etre? Fuck your raison d'etre. You don't need a raison d'etre. You just get up off your backside, pour 2 cans of energy drink down your gullet, and then you plug in your microphone. Suffice to say, raison d'etre me bollocks. Raison d'etre me bollocks. That's what I say. Maybe I'll use that as the name of this episode. Although I did already do a me bollocks one a couple of episodes back. I called it Interlude Me Bollocks or something like that. I suppose I could make that a regular thing. Could say raison d'etre me bollocks this time. And then another couple of weeks we'll have one called something else me bollocks. I used to do that a lot. I used to do quality over quantity 1 and then quantity over quality 2. I think I got up to quantity over quality 5 or 6. The last one of which was 3 hours long, if I remember rightly. So maybe we'll start doing stuff like that again. We'll see. And we'll see if there's a raison d'etre for any of this.
Are you going into your head?
2 cats walk into a bar. One of the cats goes straight up to the bar counter and says, hello, can I have a pint of your finest Guinness, please? And the man behind the bar says, certainly, sir, a pint of my finest Guinness coming right up. And the cat says, oh, that's great. It's a score for me. It's a result. I ordered a pint of Guinness and I'm going to get one. And the barman says, why was that a surprise to you, sir? I always give my customers what they ordered, or else I give them a good reason why they can't have it. For example, I might say, oh, you appear to be refusing to relinquish your car keys to somebody who can drive you safely home, or prevent you from driving unsafely home. Or maybe they're puking all over the bar. Those are reasons I might refuse an order. But no, at the moment, there's no reason to be surprised that I would give you the pint of Guinness that you'd ordered. And the cat says, oh, that's good to know. I'm just a bit surprised because I'm a cat. I'm a fucking cat. And this is a human bar. And I'm a talking cat. That doesn't seem to bother you a bit. And the man behind the bar says, why would that bother me, sir? I've no problem with talking cats. Why would I have a problem with a talking cat? Talking cats put their trousers on 1 leg at a time, just like everyone else. It's just that they have 4 legs to put on. Maybe they have 2 pairs of trousers, I don't know. Even if they have 2 pairs of trousers, or one specially designed pair of trousers that has 4 legs. I assume they still put them on one leg at a time. Or maybe, now that I think about it, would you put it on 2 legs at a time? Maybe you'd put your right front paw and your rear right paw in at the same time into their respective legs. I suppose that would be easier with a 4-leg trouser than with 2 separate pairs of trousers. Although now that I think of it, if you're a cat and you're wearing 2 separate pairs of trousers, my instinct might be wrong when I assume that you'd have 1 pair of trousers for your front legs and a separate one for your back legs. It hasn't occurred to me that you could have one that's for both of your right legs and the other pair of trousers is for both of your left legs. Why couldn't that be? That would make more sense now that I think about it. That would be more likely to fit an adult trouser's proportions, because if you have the left leg of it is in your front right paw and the right leg of it is in your rear right paw, then the gap between your front paw and your back paw is more equivalent to the width of a human trouser than the very short distance between your left paw and your right paw. So it makes slightly more sense to do it that way, I suppose. I presume if cats did wear trousers as a normal thing, they'd be specially designed for cats, so that wouldn't be an issue. And the cat says, you're largely right about most of that. Most of that, except the bit about the cat wearing trousers. That's ridiculous. Absolute nonsense. Why would you have a cat wearing trousers? And the man behind the bar says, just 3 or 4 episodes ago, there was a whole segment on this about a cat at the motor tax office or something being questioned about his cat waterproof rain trousers. And now you're saying, why would a cat wear trousers? Well, it's explained back there in that previous episode. And the cat says, I thought that was all fiction. And the man behind the bar says, there's no more fiction than this. There's no more fiction than this. Do I look like a fictional barman? And the cat says, I can't really see you because you don't exist, so I don't know. You're in the theatre of my mind, so I suppose you do look like a fictional barman in that I've conjured you up in my mind, which makes me wonder why I am. And the barman says, you're a cat, and you're a customer of this bar, and you'll be treated with the utmost respect, just like any other customer of my bar in good standing. And the cat says, when you say in good standing, what precisely do you mean there? And the barman says, you haven't caused any trouble, or you're not in debt to the bar company, or you're not on the run from the law and putting me into disrepute. Basically, you're just not an arsehole. And the cat says, right, so you don't allow arseholes in your bar at all. How do you enforce that exactly? And the man behind the bar says, well, I see them coming and I say, hello, you're not allowed in here. Then they either go away or they don't go away. There's either one or the other. There's no happy medium, unfortunately. They can't half go away and half not go away. Even 2 pairs of trousers wouldn't enable them to do that. They'll just go 100% away or 100% not away. There's no way around that. Unless I suppose there was more than one of them and they split up then and one member of the group went away and the other group came in here. Of course, that would need to be on my approval. If they could prove to me that half of their party was arseholes and half of them not, as long as they're not going to act as some sort of proxy for the arseholes who are not coming in. If they're going to start acting as arseholes on their behalf, that would be a problem for me. That would be a problem for me. Obviously. This is all very obvious though. And the cat says, it's not obvious to me at all. I've never even thought about this concept until today. The concept that you can just determine that someone coming to a bar is an arsehole and send them away. That doesn't make any sense to me. How do you identify an arsehole just by looking at them before they've even come in the door? For one thing, your bar is about half a mile from the front door. I'd say half a mile, that's an exaggeration. Well, it's all the way over here. Look, and the door is all the way over there. Look over there, look, all the way over there. And the man behind the bar says, you're thinking too much about the door here, sir. It doesn't all have to happen at the door. They can come over to the bar, or else one of the other staff may encounter them at the door. Whatever happens. Whatever. And the cat says, don't do the whatever thing with me. You're throwing away a conversation that could turn into a fine extended segment by just going whatever. And the barman says, whatever. Whatever will be, will be. Que Sera, Sera. And the cat says, what in the name of Christ was that? And the barman says, I think it was a football song from somewhere in the 1980s or something, I don't know. Whatever will be, will be. There was obviously a rip-off of the Beatles song, Let It Be, where they said, that's the one where they went, something, 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 let it be. And the Que Sera song goes, whatever will be, will be. I suppose that's different. It's not exactly the same, but still, you would think they would be expected to come up with a subject of their own. And the cat says, I don't think this is going to work. And the man behind the bar says, well, your Guinness is ready, here you go. And the cat says, oh, that's great, thank you. How much do I owe you? And the barman says, well, that depends how much you give me now. If you leave me short, then you'll owe me something. If you don't leave me short, you won't owe me anything. And the cat says, oh, I see. Let me rephrase that then. What's the bill total? And the man behind the bar says, oh, it's... And the cat says, don't say it's something or other, but that's not important right now. And the barman says, that's not what I was going to say. Oh, at least I don't think it was. I hadn't decided on a reply yet. You butted in and decided to predict that I would do that. And the cat says, what are you talking about? And the man behind the bar says, oh, I don't know. That's why I don't know. There's lots of things I don't, and no is one of them, so I don't know. And the cat says, well then, why are we having a 10-minute conversation here? 10 minutes and 1 second and counting, and we've achieved nothing here. We've just filled up a load of space. Are we even going to be able to use any of this? I don't think we are. And the barman says, so what? Everything doesn't have to be content, you know. We can just have a conversation in a fictional bar and not have anyone listen to it. We can just enjoy the relaxation of automatically coming out with these words in these fictional conversations, sitting in the spare room, letting them out. They happen to be being recorded just in case they might turn into content, but no pressure. No pressure whatsoever. And the cat says, that's a load of bollocks. I'm a cat. I have to sleep 18 hours a day. The stuff that I do for the 6 other hours matters, and I can't just blow it away on 10 minutes of talking that might never even get used in a podcast. That's not a good use of my limited waking hours. I don't have unlimited energy. I'm not fucking Popeye after a can of spinach. And the barman says, well, maybe you should be Popeye after a can of spinach. Have that occurred to you? And the cat says, okay, I'm Popeye after a can of spinach. And the man behind the bar says, good morning, Mr. Popeye. What can I do for you today? And the cat says, can I have a pint of your finest Guinness, please? And the barman says, you'll have to pay for the previous one first. And the Popeye says, why is that? And the cat says, oh, the cat doesn't say anything because he's gone. And the barman says, oh, wait a minute, you were a cat a minute ago. And the cat says, yes, I'm still a cat. You've just decided to... Oh, we all just for some reason decided for me to be Popeye because you thought that should be a thing. Well, it's not. It didn't work out, did it? No, it didn't work out at all. And the barman says, I suppose that's true. It was worth a try. It was worth the experiment, wasn't it? And the cat says, I suppose there's some way to assess that, is there? And the barman says, you'd have to ask my accountant about that. I don't know how these things work. I don't know how businesses work or anything like that. And the cat says, oh, that's good. I'll have 2 more pints, please. Can you pour them straight into this thing here? What's this thing? Oh, no, not this thing here, because this is a Hoover attachment. No, that won't work. Yeah, I'll just take them in the glass. That's fine. And the man behind the bar says, would you like them in a paper bag? And the cat says, well, it depends, really. Is this going to be like one of those paper bags they used to give you in American supermarkets when you ask for a bag? They put everything in the paper bag, like that's going to be able to support everything. But then they also put the paper bag inside a plastic carrier bag, because that's meant to carry the weight or something. that might work if the paper bag was on the outside and the plastic on the inside. But still, no, I don't think I want to drink the pint of Guinness out of a plastic bag inside a paper bag, or the other way around. Neither of those things appeals to me. And the man behind the bar says, well, it'll be in a glass as well, remember. There'll be a glass inside a paper bag, inside a plastic bag, or a glass inside a plastic bag, inside a paper bag. Do you think that's an option? And the cat says, no, I don't think so. Not the way they fill Guinness glasses in bars. They fill them right up to the rim. That's going to be sloshing around in the bag. It's just not going to be stable at all. Unless I suppose you get one of those, what are those little cup holders they give you in drive-thrus when you get a couple of coffees? They put in a little cardboard cup holder to steady it a bit. But then you'd also need for the glass to be a 2-pint glass holding 1 pint so that when it sloshes around a bit, it doesn't slosh out of it. Then, of course, there's the temptation then to put both pints into one 2-pint glass. And that would just counteract any good you've done with it. And the barman says, I suppose that's true. I don't know. And the cat says, I don't know either. Where are we going with this? I don't think we're going. 14 minutes into this now. Where are we going? And the barman says, I don't think we're going anywhere in particular. We're just enjoying whatever this is. And the cat says, I don't have time to waste on stuff like this. I really don't. I'm a cat. I have 6 hours of wakefulness at most in every 24-hour cycle. I should be spending this time either eating or getting my Guinness and drinking it, or going for a piss, or going around the perimeter of my territory around the neighbourhood and checking out everything, or making my bed, or whatever. I can't be spending my time doing this. I really can't. I mean, I'd like to. Nothing against you or anyone else. I don't have the time to do that. I'm a cat with limited wakefulness hours, and I have to be careful where I distribute those hours. Otherwise, I'm not a functioning cat. I'll be officially deemed an inoperative cat who's ineffective. I don't want to be an ineffective cat. Would you want an ineffective cat? And the barman says, well, not really, but I'm not a cat person. I wouldn't want a cat at all. No offence. And the cat says, oh, none taken. I wouldn't want to be your cat either. You seem to have an awful lot of opinions about me, which I don't need to hear, quite frankly. And the barman says, well, I'm glad we're able to be open and frank with each other about that, at least. And the cat says, why? And the barman says, well, it just makes it nice to know everything's out in the open. We can all be straight with each other. And the cat says, why? And the barman says, please see preceding. And the cat says, I see the preceding. It's just you talking a load of bollocks. And the man behind the bar says, well, I'm glad you can be straight with me about that. And speak your mind and say what you think of me. And the cat says, it's nothing personal, you understand. And the barman says, oh, I know, of course. It's nothing personal at all. I mean, you're not even a person, you're a cat. How could it be personal? And the cat says, well, that's a bit much. That's a bit much now. I mean, Jesus Christ. You're a member of the hospitality industry and you're here speaking to me like that. That's a bit much. And the barman says, oh, well, we'll get over it in due course. And the cat says, I suppose we will.